Today on the Winded Podcast, I'm joined by Dylan Webb. We talk about his content taking off, how he got started, and what he hopes to accomplish next. Then we get into the U.S. gold medal win over Canada, and we look ahead to the Boston Bruins' remaining schedule with that stretch run staring them in the face. The Winded Podcast starts now. Welcome back to the Winded Podcast. I'm your host, Seamus Sullivan. Today, we have a very, very special guest. If you are a male in your 20s in the Boston area, I'm sure you've seen his face on your Explore page on Instagram. I have the one and only Dylan Webb, DWebb77. Thank you for joining me today, Dylan. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Seamus. How are you doing?
I am great. Very excited to have you on, especially with kind of everything that's been going on. Olympics just ending, your content really just taken off. Going back a couple years, we actually met for the very first time at the Mark Lewis, Jeremy Swayman podcast. So it's only fitting that I have you on my podcast all this time later. Shout out to Mark Lewis. That was a very fun night with the Jeremy Swayman podcast. But yeah, I just want to get into what you've been up to kind of since then, because really, from what I gather, that was really kind of the beginning of your content career. And you've really really built some momentum since then. What has been the key to that success?
Honestly, just it all boils down to like confidence and just continuing to post. Being consistent. Everyone that I've talked to is just like, look, like you just got to get out there and start posting. Just keep that consistency going. And that was really hard for me at first, because I come from like a small town of like Rockport, Gloucester, Massachusetts. And I've kind of always been someone who's like more active on social media, especially like posting myself. This is going all the way back to the Vine days. I started to pop off a little bit on Vine. I got a bunch of videos that gained a bunch of traction, and I think I was in like freshman year of high school, maybe eighth grade when that started to happen. And I really never thought it'd be something that I'd want to like potentially pursue, but I just kind of liked it. And then like people would always come up to me like that I know and like from my town and stuff, and we're always like, "Oh, I love seeing your videos and everything." And then Vine just boom, one day just
Disappeared.
wasn't there. And I was kind of crushed by that because I was like, damn, Vine was like my thing. Like I just loved it so much. I thought it was the coolest app in the world. And then, just Snapchat, I kind of started with my real posting, just kind of who I am with these Snapchat rants. I started this private story and it would just kind of be like me in traffic driving and just me, just like going on for like a minute at a time, just like kind of screaming, just yelling kind of funny things. And it kind of grew where like people were like, "Oh, I saw so and so show me your private story. Can I be added to it?" And I was just kind of like, I mean, I guess, and I started to just kind of add everyone to it. And it got to the point where I was starting to get ads on Snapchat all the time from like people I know, people who are friends with people I know. And I was just kind of like, they're adding me so I can add them to their private story. And it got like to the point where I had like 500 people on my private story on Snapchat. And I was just like, what am I doing? Like at this point, it's no longer private. So I just started posting on my Snapchat story, just kind of like for people to see rather than like to kind of gain anything from it. You don't really blow up on Snapchat. But then I just started to post on TikTok a lot more as well when that became like a thing. I started doing that my sophomore year of college. This was 2019 going into 2020 and COVID hit. And that's when kind of people started blowing up on TikTok, right? Like everyone was housebound, stuck in the house, sent home from college. And there was like a time where it was very easy to kind of gain traction on TikTok. And I started to beginning of 2020 when we had first gotten back from that first semester. So it was like after Christmas break. I had a couple videos where like I was using this filter similar to like what I'm doing now.
Mhm.
Not really like the Boston guys stuff, but more of like it was like this weird filter and it changed your voice. And it'd be like, I was this Billy character who's always having this like argument with like his dad. Like his dad would bring him to baseball practice, find out that he forgot his glove, bring him to hockey, find out that he forgot his skates or something. And like he'd always kind of snap back. I had one that went really viral where it was me like being a shy kid in class, like raising his hand and being like, "Oh, can I go to the bathroom?" The teacher's like, "Sure, go." And then I come back 20 minutes later because obviously I wasn't in there to take a piss. I was in there to take a dump. And the teacher's kind of like, "Oh, why were you gone for 20 minutes?" And it's like every kid's been through that. Like it's so
Mhm.
embarrassing. That is like, why do you think I was gone for 20
Yeah,
minutes?
read the room.
And I snap back and say, "I was just shitting my brains out, you fucking whore." And I like and that video just like went crazy viral. And then like I was kind of like more like reserved at this time. I still hadn't found like my self-confidence a lot. So, like, I had, like, girls that I knew had met a couple times and stuff, like, coming up to me on college campus and being like, "You're that TikTok kid, like, you make those videos like the ones." And it's kind of embarrassing because it wasn't like it was, like, stupid, kind of cringy shit that I was making that was, like it was funny, but it wasn't, like, anything that, like, is gonna give you, like, real girl attention. So, I was kind of, like, embarrassed by it, so I kinda, like, almost plateaued away from that. Like I kind of just decided to, start trying to do other things. And like I think I gained like 25,000 followers overnight from like some of the videos. And that was pretty easy to do on TikTok at the time because everyone was new to the app and everything. But I continued to kind of post for a little bit more while I was at college. I had a couple other videos that did well, but nothing like that. And I wish I kind of stuck to doing more stuff like that, but I was kind of just more embarrassed that that many people were seeing my stuff. I had a lot of people that were like friends with my mom, like coming up to her and being like, "Your son is like absolutely hilarious." And she's like, "What are they talking about?" And I didn't want like family members and stuff other than my brothers to like see my stuff. I was just kind of like embarrassed by it at the time. And, looking back is kind of foolish to think like that. But that was just kind of a big part of it was just I kinda shied away from that, and then, I started to, after college, get into trying to find a career, and I tried a bunch of different things. Ultimately, I wanted to be a real estate agent, and I wanted to use my ability to talk to people, to be in front of people, to help me grow in that aspect. And honestly, like, I was doing well, like, a lot of rentals and stuff. I didn't have any sales under my belt. I jumped to a couple different teams. First one, I had no help. I was just basically on my own as an independent agent. I was, like, 22, did a couple of rentals for people I know, and that's how I made some money, but I had no guidance. So I joined a team where I was in an office every single day, and I was made a bunch of promises, and I put my head down. I made the calls every single day, and nothing came from it. And I was like, I want to go back to my hometown of Gloucester, Rockport, Massachusetts, and try to grow there because that's my area. That's who I care about, people I wanted to be representing. Did that, and I just like one day I was just sitting there and I was just like, I could be making a ton of money in this, and I still wouldn't want to do it. I was just
Mhm.
like the dealing with people that you don't wanna deal with, that you've explained the process to a million times, dealing with other people that are on the other end that aren't necessarily your clients. Like, there's so much, like, there's contractors, everything involved, like inspectors, and, a lot of people just suck, and I was like working with people that were really passionate about it, and they were great people, and I could see, like, they were passionate about it, and they were talking about, like, what excites them, and, like, the first MLS email of the day that comes in at 6:30 in the morning, they said they, like, got so excited to see, like, what was hitting the market that day, and they were talking about how they were so excited, and I was just like, "That is the worst fucking part of my day because it reminds me that I'm a real estate agent and like I have to like go in and deal with this stuff and potentially like, know what's on the market. And if you don't, everybody else in town who isn't even in the market to buy is getting those same emails and they know and they hit you with questions of it. And if you don't know what's on the market, you sound like an idiot." So I was just like, you know, I've always wanted to do something like unique and be someone on social media. And I was just like, you know what? Like, I can't maintain like a professional, I'm a real estate agent and I'm not some guy that's like just posting goofy videos on the internet all day. And I couldn't come to terms with like trying to be a professional person, trust me with your home purchase and doing what I'm doing now. So I was like, I'm just gonna, work with my friend, make decent money, and do this full time and just like really stick with it. And a lot of people were like, obviously think that like you're a fucking idiot, like off the bat, and they're like, it's never gonna happen. And honestly, like it all just comes down to consistency. And everybody who's done it has tried, failed, until someday it just starts to work. And honestly, like it's one of those things, just like real estate, where if it's working and you take a step back, then you get left in the dust. It's one of those things you just constantly have to be going. And the greats on social media, like the people who are making like real good money, say like Jake Paul and those guys, they could take their foot off the gas, right?
Mhm.
They can go fuck off and never be seen again. They have so much money, but they don't. If you look at them, they're still every single day just at it and they're just still in the spotlight 24/7, and that's how it has to be. I mean, it's just like anything. Like you got to show up every day, like rents due every day, and you got to show up. Yeah, so it's just like I'm in that process now.
Yeah, I completely agree with that part of it. As I'm doing this podcast and trying to grow social media, I can see the difference of when I am having regular podcasts, putting out regular content, multiple clips a day, multiple whatever, versus, like around Christmas time, I took it easy and didn't do much. And it's just like it, when you take your foot off the gas, you lose all that momentum. And you know, since the beginning of the year, I've been really dialed in on getting guests and getting different ideas for content. And it's working and it's, a slow process, but I enjoy the grind of it. And I think you do too, obviously. But you mentioned working with your friend. I want to get into kind of how you balance having a full time job with making content and being so consistent with it. Is it like a schedule? Is it you just any free moment you have? Like, how do you balance that?
Well, actually, it's funny that you say that. When I first started, I was doing excavation for my friend. He started a business and he needed someone as like a laborer to be with him. So I was working with him full time when I first started. But then, like, when I started doing more things, that involve like risk. Like when I'd go out in the city and I'd film videos with like one of my buddies is a great videographer. His name's Jack Skelly. He also worked with Hockey Night for some time.
Hmm.
I've done a lot of like professional videos with him, like some modeling gigs and social media shoots. So I started doing more and more of that. And it was hard for me to be, full time with my friend who was, taking off with his business and needed legit commitment. So like I was working a couple days a week with him and he was pretty much just like, "Hey, like Dylan, I need to hire full-time people to like grow with my business." He's like, "You're welcome to like come work whenever you want. But, just so you know, like eventually I'm gonna have to hire people full time. I can't have you just leaving on a Wednesday and Thursday to go do your social media stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, that's understandable." So my friends like to call me the most employed unemployed friend because I have a slew of employment. My tax guy just absolutely hates me. I do like 5 different things and like it's crazy because like some weeks I don't have a lot and some weeks I'm just like back forth with a lot of things. So currently I manage a gym in Gloucester. I work there. I love it so much and I run the social media page for it. And that's just kind of like my steady, like I do that a couple days a week, steady income. And then I also work for the Boston Bruins. I don't really like to say that a lot on social media because I don't want the two to like
Yeah.
interfere, but I work on the promo team with the Bruins. So I'm at every home game. I work a lot of events with the team, like a lot of like some of the player events and everything. I do that. I also bounce on the weekends at a bar here. I'm looking to probably do a little bit more of that as well. I still do excavation every once in a while, usually like in the spring, summer. There isn't a whole lot of work in the winter. I used to do a lot of plowing. So it's like kind of all going around doing that. But yeah, like I run around, do a lot of things. And then also like TikTok shop has kept me afloat too. Like I've done a bunch of like stuff on there as well. And then, of course, working with Jack Skelly, I've done a lot of like modeling gigs and stuff for him. Like the previous one I did was Titan Battle Gear. It's like a new hockey company that makes like the underneath shirts, like the
Mhm.
Under Armour type things with like the cut proof neck guard in it. I did one with them. I did like a big photo shoot with them, and like they're blowing up. I think they were like for the World Junior. They sponsored the USA team for the, and they all had the Titan Battle Gear stuff on. So yeah, it's always something like that. Just kind of running around a lot, different jobs, but I kind of love it. I wouldn't have it any other way because it allows me to do stuff like this and focus more on my content. So yeah.
I kind of relate to that so much because my when I do my taxes, it's a nightmare. It's a stack of W-2s, and it's not that I can't keep a job, it's that I just want it to fit into what I want to do, and sometimes that changes over the course of a year, so I completely relate to that. Don't ever have a hard time finding another job. Sometimes it's when your needs and wants change throughout the course of a year or over years, and if you wanna do different things, I think that just sticking with a job just because you have a job is lazy and safe. I think if you want to do different things, I think you gotta go out and make changes, and sometimes that means working multiple different jobs. I've worked at different bars, I do the hockey night stuff, I do writing for Causeway Crowd, I do this podcast, I sell cars now, like,
Mhm.
you kind of bounce around to do what makes you happy. But yeah, let's get into the Olympics. You still riding high off that? I mean,
I can't believe it,
I can't
honestly.
I can't believe it, and I can't stop thinking about it. I've watched the winning goal at least 100 times, if not more. All the different edits on TikTok, just I stop at every single one. It's just unbelievable.
It's one of those games, right? Like where the Canadians had a million chances. We've seen it all before in big games in hockey. I swear I've watched it with the Bruins a million times. Like some of those, I think it was what 2021 when they got knocked off when they had like the perfect season or whatever,
Mhm.
and they got knocked off. And then like Game 7, and then like the other elimination games, they just could not find a goal, no matter what happened. It was just like some outside force was keeping them from scoring. And it was one of those games where like the Canadians just couldn't get a goal no matter what they did, no matter who they had on the ice, everything they tried. Just they had a million chances and just could not bury a goal. And I think it was like when it was getting like that, I was like, there's no way that USA loses this game, right? Like Helly was getting bombed the whole game, made unbelievable saves, but then there was also a couple like the McKinnon where he missed the net. Like there's also outside factors like that, and it's like that had to happen for them to win that game. It's like what's that quote from Miracle? We play them 10 times, they win 9.
Yeah,
It
but
was
not
like
tonight.
that. Yeah, but not tonight, and it was just unbelievable that everything had to fall into place the way that it did for them to win that game, and it was just in unbelievable fashion too. It wasn't like it was like a 3-1 win or like a 2-1 regulation win. Overtime, 3 on 3, which I wanna talk about that 3 on 3. I wanna ask you what you think about that in a gold medal game in the Olympics. What are your thoughts on that?
So it's funny, I actually was on TikTok live for the 3rd period through the intermission into overtime. So I was on TikTok live for about an hour and a half, and when it went, uh, in between and I'm just kinda talking, filling time, I spent most of it ranting about how 3 on 3 in the Olympics is ridiculous, and not that I don't like the idea of it, I just don't like the idea of going right to it. I would have loved to have seen a 10-minute, 15-minute, 20-minute, whatever it is, 5 on 5, see if they can settle it that way, then do the 3 on 3, which 99% of the time would result in a goal in the Olympics. And then if you really have to end it, do the shootout. I don't want to see a shootout decide it. And I'm happy with the result, but I still overall I'm like, I just think it's kind of cheesy for them to play 60 minutes of that kind of quality of hockey and then have it end the way it did. I'm happy it ended the way it did, but I just don't like seeing it right off the rip.
Yeah, I'd have to say that I agree. I think, like a regular season NHL game, I love it.
Oh, yeah.
I think a gold medal game in the Olympics can't be decided on a 3-on-3 hockey, and the reason why I say that is because that heavily favored the Canadian team,
Yes.
right? Like, that was and those are the people that are still complaining about it, or is the people that wanted to see Canada win, like, a lot of Canadian people, and it's like, again, it goes back to that, like, the fact that they still pulled off this win in overtime is unbelievable, but I think, yeah, I agree with you, I think maybe 20 minutes or 15 minutes of 5-on-5 hockey, and at that point, if it's not settled, then you switch to 3-on-3 because that's gonna end it. Never the shootout. Never the
Yeah.
shootout, only regular season NHL is the does the shootout make sense because it's like, "Alright, we gotta wrap this up." But I think that, just the fact that they were able to still win that when those guys just put out these superhuman hockey players like McDavid, I mean, sad to see that Crosby was hurt for that game. I think that changes the outcome. Maybe we can touch on that a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think that that overtime, like, just heavily favored the Canadian team, and the fact that they couldn't put it away and USA still came back and won it was just unbelievable. Like, it's still like, I when I think about it, I get goosebumps because it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I commented it on your Instagram. The 3 players that they had out there, I don't think anyone could make an argument that those aren't the 3 best players in the world. Like,
Absolutely.
if you say who are the 3 best players in the world, you would say Cale Makar, Connor McDavid, and Nathan MacKinnon.
Exactly.
And then, then they'd be following that up with Macklin Celebrini, like they who had an unreal tournament. It's like everything that they were gonna throw out, and if you said that, Jack Hughes and Zach Werenski are just gonna take Nathan MacKinnon's lunch like that and just embarrass him, I would have said that's not happening. Especially after he missed earlier, after he missed the empty net. You're like, I mean, just and I love Nathan MacKinnon, but God, man, what a brutal way for him to play in the gold medal game.
I know, and it's so easy to go back and look at that and be like, "Oh my god, how do you miss that?" But people have no idea what the real speed of that is. Like,
Oh
if you
yeah.
watch an NHL game on the glass, it is completely different than watching it from, like, balcony or even, like, loge at the Garden, just because, like, the pure speed of it and a gold medal game between the best players in the world, like, it's just that much faster and that much more intense, and people have no idea, like, the split second that is so it's easy to go back and nitpick that, but it's just one of those things again where it's just like there was almost like an outside force where it was like, yeah, like, USA was winning this game no matter what happened, and I think that was just kinda, like, special that, you can go back and, like, look at all the little things that led to this. The stick save, the Tim Thomas-esque paddle save from Helly. Unbelievable. And again, you didn't notice it at first, right? Like, it was just like, "Oh, how'd that not go in?" And then you go watch the replay and you're like, "Holy shit."
Yeah. I think that the bigger criticism than the empty net is what the strategy or the effort that the 3 guys on the ice in that overtime had. I mean, Cale Makar was coasting back. Connor McDavid didn't cover his guy. Nathan MacKinnon, I don't know what that was to give it up to Morensky. It's like you
Mhm.
watch, there's a behind the net angle, and it's just like they're just out there, like just skating around. They're not even, and McDavid trying to go hero mode to try and win it like right off the bat definitely bit them in the ass.
I feel like he does that a lot. I feel
Yeah,
like that's like
he
I
gets
mean,
away
he's
with it a lot.
yeah, he's at such a different level where, like, I can see that working for him. But, like, now it's kinda like, wow, it's embarrassing that, like, you felt like you needed to step up and be hero, and guess who you've never seen do that? Sidney Crosby has
Yeah,
never been like, "Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and win this on my own." I mean, other than his, like, famous shootout goal when he was a rookie in the league versus the Canadians, but that's different, right? Like, I think that that's just, like, piss poor, like, I wanna say ego, but he is at such a different level. I don't know though. When he's playing with these guys that are just like in a class of their own with him, it's like you don't have to go try to go through everybody and be that hero. Like, I think he has it in his mind that that's who he's always had to be to win,
yeah,
especially on the Oilers. But I think to do that and kind of like again, it like puts this temperament like over the team that you're with and kind of takes confidence away from who you're playing with. You're like, look, like, oh, he's gonna go ahead and try to do it himself. And I'm one of the best players in the world too, and he can't like use me. when we can work together and just go right through this USA team. It's kind of like, I don't
It's
know.
like
It's
he
like one of
forgot
those.
where he was for a second.
Exactly.
It's like he forgot the other 24 guys are all top 100 players in the world,
Exactly.
not, you know, the Oilers that he plays with, and even then, it's like he's got help there, but it's like, I mean, you have Cale Makar and Nathan MacKinnon on the ice with you, like, and you
That's what
didn't
I'm
make
saying.
any effort to involve them.
That's what I'm saying. You know, you have these guys on the ice, and if you're the USA, like a defender, you're thinking, all right, would you rather have McDavid try to go through you by himself, or would you rather have him McDavid with McKinnon and Makar try to go through you? And it's a no brainer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's like, okay, yeah, absolutely. I'd rather take you one on one, even though it's a big risk. It's way less of a risk of dealing with those three superstars. And I think, it's just like you gotta figure that out. And that's like he's still pretty young. Yeah, he's like a captain and he's been to the Stanley Cup final twice. But like that's like one of those things where it's like, shit, man, I had those guys with me. I will never have two players like with me like that ever again in that scenario. And it's like it's one of those things where like you can always learn more. And I think that like it was a big bummer to not have Crosby play in that game just because like how much of a factor he is in big games like that. And every time I watch him in person, every time I'm at the Garden and he's there, I watch him and I'm blown away by like the level of mental game that he plays and just how locked in and knows what he's doing with the puck at all times. And it's unbelievable. And you can say, McDavid has all this skill, Makar this, McKinnon that, but Crosby is just at this level of like veteran status where it's just like there's almost no better decision making. There isn't in the NHL right now. There's no better decision making player than Sidney Crosby. And I think he's just like at this level where you need someone like that with these young guys on the ice in this big game. And I think it's kind of like a bummer that he was injured for that game for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it, happy with the result, but a guy like Sidney Crosby undoubtedly makes a difference. It's like when the Bruins would play without Bergeron. It's like
Mhm.
it's a completely different thing, and Crosby is has all the leadership, mentality, everything that Bergeron had, just with, you know, even more elite level talent. So, I mean, they literally had to take a C off one jersey and put it on another. Like that is you can't replicate that, you know, even with 25 other best players in the world. It just you can't make up for a Sidney Crosby not being there.
I think that's a little weird that they did that. Like, don't you think it would just be nice it's just like to keep the A like
Yeah.
on that guy?
I
Like, I think it's weird that they're like, all right, he's hurt. Let's switch to C to McDavid. Like it's a no brainer. And I was just kind of like, oh, that's just like bad mojo, you know?
Yeah, it makes you think that there was probably a real hard conversation going into the tournament that McDavid that maybe they wanted to give it to McDavid, but you can't give it to him with Crosby on the roster. And they were
Yeah,
like, this is our opportunity to like give it to him. But
exactly.
it does seem weird that I mean, look at the Bruins right now are just skating with three A's. They don't even have a captain.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's like you can do it. You still have leaders. It's not like you need that C out there. And it's almost in a way kind of disrespectful to Crosby that
That's what I'm saying.
like it's his team. He's the captain going into it, and just because I mean it's not like they declared him out for the tournament, you know, in the first game. Like the night before, there was thought he might still play tomorrow.
Yeah.
So for them to like have the C on him is just it seems yeah, I'm with you. It's weird.
Again, yeah, it's like it's very strange that like they would just do that, like, right away, like, no-brainer, like, "Alright." And like, Crosby, he's gonna be in the locker room before the game, like, he's gonna be down there and around the guys and stuff, and, like, to also be like, "Alright, he's hurt, like, well, we're going to the next guy." And just, like, to throw that on McDavid too, like, it gives him that mindset, like, "Alright, I'm captain now, I gotta go through this whole team." And it, like, brings you back to that, like, where it's like, it took away from that pressure that McDavid has in Edmonton and to bring a cup to Canada where he's failed twice now on the biggest stage. And it's just kind of like, all right, like I'm not the captain right now. This isn't my boat. This isn't my vessel that I got to steer to like the Stanley Cup. I can just play my game. And all of a sudden, that day, he finds out that he's wearing the C or whenever it was, like, because Crosby was a game time decision. That's like, all right, now, like, holy shit, I'm captain. Like, that's just another thing on his head
Oh, yeah.
that's going to take away from his game. And it's just like, I think that's just kind of like weird that they were just so quick with that. And people who aren't hockey fans or don't know hockey well won't really understand like that level of just like wearing the C on the jersey and like kind of the pressure that puts on you. I think that was just I think it was bizarre. I don't think I liked that decision. Again, ecstatic that USA won.
Yes.
Like I can't but I think like there's some things that like can be learned from this. And I think Canada didn't fully have their head on straight going into this game.
Yeah, I agree. I wanna stay on hockey and kind of shift. I want your opinion. You famously wear the number 77 in men's league hockey, which is a badass number to wear. I want your top 5 hockey jersey numbers.
Okay.
You can leave 77 off. We'll have 77 be that's yours.
Okay.
The your other 5 favorite, hockey numbers.
In no particular order,
Yeah, you can just rip them off.
99, Greta, obviously,
Mhm.
would be ashamed to not have
Well,
that.
let's do it just as generic, just like hockey numbers, like don't necessarily like you. I
Okay.
mean, obviously they're still
That look
tied to
cool.
players, but just like yeah, just like badass numbers for hockey.
You have to be a certain someone to wear this number.
Yeah.
Okay. 99, 88, the double, I could say every double number, and I feel like I'm gonna go in that direction. 99, 88, won't associate anybody with that. If you know, you know. Let's see. I was the goalie my whole life up
Okay.
until men's league after playing club hockey at Quinnipiac. So I want to go to some goalie numbers. I've always hated the number 1 on a goalie, and I had to wear it a few times just because that was what was left. I dislike number 1. I like 30 because of Tim Thomas, but
Yeah.
I don't think that cracks my top 5. I love 35 as a goalie number.
35. That
Yeah.
is if I picture and it's I don't even know how many players in the league right now wear 35, but
Mhm.
growing up, it was like if you were the number 1 goalie on your team, you were 35.
Exactly. And I got that my uncle was a goalie, and that was always his number, so that's how I adopted 35 to be my number. Trying to think of some other ones. I like I said, I love the double numbers. My younger brother, captain for Suffolk Hockey, they got a playoff game tonight, first round of the playoffs. He's number 22. I think twos is a sick number.
Mhm.
I think that's got to be on the list. 7 and 8, both great numbers. The single number, like you got to be someone like Ov to wear 8. I think that will probably be something that's talked about being retired one day. The grade 8.
Mhm.
I love that number for him. So far, I have 99, 88, 35, 22. I'll stay away from another double number, and I will say 8.
Yeah.
I think that those are, like legendary numbers. You can't just be anyone. You can't pull up to the league, Dawn 88, can't pull up Dawn 77. I think that's a defenseman number, someone who's, like a rock on the team, Victor Hedman, for
Mhm.
example. I'll start throwing out some names now. Obviously, Ovi, grade 8, and just those. I think like those are numbers where you can't just like show up to the league as someone who just made the team after grinding it out in the AHL and throw on one of
Yeah,
those numbers. But
exactly. How do you feel about a guy in beer league rocking 99?
I think that you got to be an absolute clown. I think that like if you're doing it as like the like I'm the obviously the worst player on the team and I'm just a locker room guy, 99 is hilarious.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think, like, if you show up and you're 99, I think it's funny. Yeah, I like it. I think it's a funny move. I mean, it's, like, more funny than 69. If you're like, "Oh, like, 60," it's like, "Alright, you're trying
Yeah.
to be funny, but it's the kind of the joke's old." I think if you're, like, the worst player on the team and you're wearing 99, if you're
Yeah.
someone who's, like, an absolute hardo, you're going as hard as you can, you think you're the best player on the ice and you're wearing 99, it's like, you're a clown.
That yeah, that's the direction that I think of. I've never thought of it from the perspective of being just the bum at the end of the bench wearing 99. I think that is funny.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I completely agree. Moving on to the Bruins. How do you feel? 25 games left to go. How do you feel with the stretch run for the Bruins?
I think you can agree with me on this. Kinda shocked at the season they're having so far. They're not the worst team in the world, and I was fully prepared to witness the worst Bruins team of all time this year,
Mhm.
and it got to the point where I was like, "Damn," like, we could see a full, complete fall off and just be like one of those hockey towns without a good hockey team, and sure enough, they've shocked us and continue to kinda, like, do a good job. I don't know what their numbers are at right now, but, like, they're projected to make the playoffs, correctly?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that's just kind of insane. Like, I wasn't expecting that at all from them this year. I think there's a few key things that need to fall into place. Obviously, that starts with health. We need our players to stay healthy, particularly Charlie McAvoy. I mean, he just grinded it out. He comes back from that season-ending shoulder injury in the Four Nations. He takes a slap shot right to the coconut. Unbelievable. That was disgusting to watch, but the fact that he's fully back and playing at just this crazy elite level right now, I've always loved him playing for the Bruins. I love that he steps up, makes the big hits. Not the biggest guy on the ice, but he throws his body around and is a tough hockey player, plays Boston Bruins hockey. If he stays healthy, I think he's a key piece. We really need Swayman to step up, and that's tough to say because as you know, he is my dog. We held that you know, that was actually sideline media. Shout out Joel Idelson,
Yes.
Hockey Night, because his connection is he's close with Swayman, and he put that podcast together and invited Mark Lewis to speak on
Yes.
the panel as well because he had the podcast going. So, I think if he steps up, I think he is going to step into this newfound level of confidence now that he has actually won something. Sure, he didn't start that game, but he's got a gold medal in the Olympics as a USA goaltender.
Mhm.
I think that that is insane. And if he can step into this role of now, all right, like I'm at this level of a gold medal player and I'm better than these Canadian guys in the league, I think that that newfound confidence is kind of the kick in the ass that he needed to
Mhm.
play to his ability because I really don't think we have seen him play to his ability. And I think that whole like waiting for him to sign, that whole like intermission where they got rid of Allmark and they hadn't signed him yet kind of ruined his confidence a little bit. Do I agree with the money that he got? I won't really speak my opinion on that, but I think that, he needs to start playing like he's that caliber of goaltender, and I think we are going to see that, whether it's this year or next year. I think it's time for him to step up, and I like Corpy too. I think he's a good second string goaltender and can fill in games as needed to give Swayman the rest that he needs. I don't think a goaltender should be playing every single game like their 2011 Tim Thomas. He was a mutant. I
Yeah,
love Zadorov.
Corpusalo is gonna be important because there are because of the Olympic break, it's such a condensed finish to the season. There's going to be all sorts of back to backs, 3 and 4. So he's going to have to be on where, you're going to have to win some games with him too, not just Swayman. So I
Absolutely.
completely agree.
And I think he's more than capable as well to, step into those roles. I love Zadorov this year. Love
Yes.
him. I think he's my favorite player on the team currently. He last year did not have the best season when we got him here. I think he struggled a lot, kind of trying to find his place and step into like a role as of like kind of a leader on the team. And this year, he has stepped up immensely. He's got this offensive game where he rushes the puck and he somehow finds a way to like find someone open and charge it to the net. And it's unbelievable for like a player like him to have that offensive ability because he's not Torrey Krug
No.
by any means, but he seems to find these goals and these things, and it's not like he's shooting from the point with a screen. It's like he's charging the net and getting these goals that like you don't see from a big man on D like that very often. And I love how he steps up. for everybody. He's willing to, chuck him with the big boys, unlike some other players in the league that are in his weight class. Tom Wilson, he's a bitch. Only fights little guys, only goes after little guys. I don't like that. I think, Zadorov steps up and this is his team. He is a Boston Bruin and he is bringing that level to the game where it's like, holy shit, if someone does something to Pasternak or any of these young guys, Fraser Minton, anything, you got Nikita Zadorov to answer the bell on the back end, or Mark Kastelik, who is
Love that guy.
a tough bastard. I don't think there's anybody in the league that wants to fight Kastelik right now. He's thrown him out of his weight class and still beating the shit out of people. Like he is a tough
He
bastard.
gets those crazy eyes too. Like
Yeah.
he just and he's like off the ice or when you see interviews with him, he seems like the nicest guy in the world.
Mhm.
And then you see him in a fight clip and it's like that is a possessed crazy person.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the guy you want on your team in that position.
And he's not just some guy that's just out there to fight too. Like he is going hard into the corners. He is winning puck battles and he's skating around like a madman out there. And he like just that's just his game. He just can turn it on. And I love that. And I think that, we have this young group of guys. Who am I forgetting? I can't remember his name, long name, Kuznetsov, if
Oh
I'm
yeah.
pronouncing that right.
Yep.
Unbelievable. He's gonna be great. He's gonna be a superstar if he can manage to stay healthy, knock on wood, I think that he's got this level to his game where he looks like a young Brad Marchand without all the antics and everything.
Yeah.
And
Without the suspensions.
he is a hot knife through butter when he has the puck cutting up through the middle. And I think that like if we can maintain this key core group of guys, the Bruins are going to be a factor in the next 5 years and like more to come potentially.
Well, they have all of BC coming over in the next couple of years, so that's going to help too. Obviously,
Exactly.
James Hagens, Dean Letourneau, future's definitely bright. I'll say on this season, I did think they were going to make the playoffs. I thought they'd be a wild card team, but
Hmm.
I'll tell you, the surprise to me has been how they've done it. I think you look at the roster makeup, the goalies that they have, you're like, all right, they're going to have to win these 2-1 grind out games where they're struggling to score. It's been the complete opposite. I mean, they've been winning games, scoring 5, 6, 7, 10 goals against the Rangers. It's unreal to see. Obviously, Morgan Geekie has completely lived up to the contract. I mean, if we had to sign him this offseason to be a completely higher number, Pasternak is always going to do what he does. It's just been a joy to watch because I thought that we'd have playoff hockey, maybe one round, but I thought it was going to be an ugly product throughout the whole year. But to see the finesse that they have with the guys that they have is just incredible.
Absolutely. And I said it out loud last year, and I hate to be someone that like takes credit for things like this, but I said it last year when the Bruins were down and out. They had traded everybody. They still got like the remainder of the games to play at the end of the year. I was watching Morgan Geekie, and I was like, this guy is busting his ass, getting to every single puck, like just out there throwing his weight around, doing what he can to get to the puck and create scoring opportunities. And I said it, I was like, I like him. I was like, I think he is going to be a great player. And I think this year he had big shoes to fill. He got put up with Pasternak. And when you watch Pasternak get the puck, it's either they give him all the space in the world and the whole game slows down because nobody wants to go near him to look like a fool, or they have two guys immediately on him. Two guys immediately on him, got Morgan Geekie wide open and he's an elite shooter. Like you give the puck to him, he's gonna find the back of the net. And I think that like those two working together, Geekie knows, he's not some like unbelievable goal scorer, but he's doing his job when he needs to. When Pasternak has two men on him, he's wide open and he is getting the job done. And it's unbelievable how well it works. Yeah, I really like him and I can't believe I completely forgot to mention him, but he's just stepped into this elite status this year and it's like one of those things where like when I make those Donnie videos, I'm always like, Morgan Geeky, where did we get this guy? Because it's like it's just unbelievable that, like, these guys have just stepped up, and I feel like Boston sports, I think, like, the community and the fans make these guys want to play at this extra level and put in this extra effort because they want to be in a place that, wants to win and, will do anything necessarily to get to the win?
Mhm. Yeah, it's always I always judge a hockey season on whether you're wearing a jersey with shorts. If you could continue wearing that sweater and wearing shorts at the same time, it's a good year. So I do think, who knows how much of a run they'll go on. I think the seeding will play a huge part. I think if they can finish, third in the division and avoid that wild card round, I think they have a shot to kind of, make some noise, at least be a tough out for anybody. But I do want to get to a question that kind of popped into my head right before we got on, and that's you're a North Shore guy, obviously. And I kind of was thinking about, North Shore versus South Shore. And I had this thought in my head, why is it that more people from the North Shore have more of a Boston accent than people from the South Shore? Is it just people from the city moving north? Or, I wouldn't say you have a Boston accent, but like you have there's more of an accent, I think, on the North Shore than on the South
Yeah.
Shore.
More of like a flavor, for
Exactly.
sure. I think I'll be honest with you, I think that people who live and grow up on the North Shore don't leave. I think that everybody wants to stay there. I think they think that it's the best place in the world. I can agree with them to some degree, but I think that it's just people have stayed there forever. I think especially in Gloucester, Rockport, where I'm from, and then you have like Lynn, Salem, Marblehead, all these other areas. I think people have this toughness to them where they're like, this is my home and like I'm staying here and I don't care like what prices you raise, like this is gonna be where I stay and I'm willing to die like to stay here. And I think, Cape Cod, I kind of put the whole South Shore in with Cape Cod because it's like a very similar style of life. I think that it's become so like waspy and such like expensive real estate wherever you go. I feel like there's less oceanfront opportunity on the South Shore. And I think it like kind of pushes out like those people who have kind of always been there. I think you see a lot of it with like Situate is really similar to Gloucester. And biggest and best, greatest Boston accent of all time, Billy Tibbetts. Unbelievable Boston accent. Shout out Billy, Situate guy. So that he's kind of like an exception to the rule. But again, I think that that's a very similar community to up here in Gloucester, like that Situate like fishing community.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's just a big part of it. I think it's just, like it's hard for those people to stay there. There isn't as much opportunity. Real estate has gotten so expensive. It's getting there on the North Shore as well because people have figured out that it is a
That it's
Cape
awesome
Cod.
up there.
Yeah, exactly. It's become exposed through social media and everything that it's the same thing as Cape Cod pretty much, minus like the sand dunes. Yeah, I think that's just kinda what it is. I think Cape Cod's more of a destination. South Shore, it's just so hard to live there. I think, like, the North Shore just has that flavor of, like, the people who have been there forever remain there, and they just have this, like, toughness and attitude to them that keeps them there, and they wanna be there, they wanna be around like-minded people as well.
Yeah, my brother moved to Beverly a couple years ago, and he's like, "I'm never leaving. I love it so much." And we grew up on the Cape, and I can totally agree with you the way it's kind of priced out and really is just it's a touristy destination place. It always has been, but now it's like, it's been bought up and it's been kind of the regular people that live there. It's not they've been kind of forced out.
Mhm.
But yeah, Dylan, this has been so much fun. Why don't you kind of run through your socials and let people know where they can follow you?
So my personal social media, my TikTok and my Instagram, it's Webb WEBB period 77 because that's my number in men's league, softball and hockey, number 77. But my posting account is Webb Daily. That's WEBB period daily because I try to post there multiple times a day. And that's kind of how it started. I didn't want to annoy people on my personal, I like to use my personal account for personal things. I like to connect with people and talk to them on there. So I don't follow anyone back on my posting page because it's strictly for posting and connecting with people through that. I try to reply to every message I can, even if I get some crazy weird ones. I kind of push those to the side. But My personal, I try to talk to everyone, try to follow everyone back if I know you, if we have mutuals. I try to, connect with people there. But yeah, so those are my 2 main things right now. My TikTok, I post more. I kinda just shit post on TikTok more often than I do on my Instagram pages. I wanna get more into my YouTube. Like, do a lot more YouTube shorts, make a lot of long-term content. I plan to do that this spring and summer. I think that's just I don't know what that is. I think it's Webb 77 period 77, just like my Instagram. But yeah, so I'm you can find me on there. I'm gonna be posting a lot more as I continue to grow. I'm gonna try to do a Donnie video, maybe once, twice a week when I can. It's easy to do when the sports teams are playing and they're winning. I do a lot of stuff like that. But honestly, I want to kind of steer away from that and kind of do more of like my personal stuff because ultimately that is the goal to get myself out there and have people recognize my face more so. So I'll do a combination of both and continue to, post my car stuff, post my hockey stuff, and do the Donnie videos and maybe some other characters coming up as well. But yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, make sure you give him a follow. It's very entertaining, and the range of stuff that you do is very entertaining. And spend some time in the comments because the comment section you have a very good comment section. Very
Oh,
blue very blue collar, very kinda cultish that you got going there. So, thank
mhm.
you so much, Dylan. This has been a blast, and,
Seamus.
we'll talk soon.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's run it back sometime.
We will for sure.
Alrighty.